It's ironic that we're discussing applying such an instrument against the United States. The instrument itself was put in place, the legislation was put in place with China in mind, and considering for how long the US and the EU have been partners in efforts to contain China's anti-competitive trade moves, it's ironic that now the EU is considering applying this instrument to the US. It is a very strong instrument. It can inflict significant economic pain upon the adversary that is employed against, and it is conceived as a measure of last resort. And again, the fact that there is discussion in Brussels about using that instrument against an ally like the US gives you a picture of how shocked and surprised, but equally determined European leaders are to ensure that this latest assault from Mr. Trump doesn't go unanswered.
It was very clear from Sir Keir Starmer's comments just now that he's by no means committed to going down a route of retaliation. Is there going to be a danger of divide and rule here, particularly given that the UK and Norway are not in the EU?
Indeed, there is by no means consensus yet among EU member states whether to use this mechanism. I think the desire is to wait and see whether the latest social media posts actually turn into real policy and decide accordingly. And like you said, European states who are not currently members of the EU are, of course, not covered by the EU's trade instruments. So they will also have to decide whether they join forces in that regard. But even within the EU, there is still discussion and debate whether we are ready to go down the road. But the fact that this instrument is being discussed as a possibility, triggering it especially, goes to show that we have moved. The dial has moved quite a bit, and we are getting closer to a confrontation. There's still desire to step back, but we need to see also, the Europeans want to see a similar de-escalation effort from the side of Trump's administration.
In terms of broader implications here, or ramifications of this escalation, you note that alienating Europe won't help Trump's efforts to contain China. Talk to us about the potential knock-on effects that this could have on China if we do see a further escalation.
Indeed, I think this is Mr. Trump is biting his own nose to spite his face. It will have very negative consequences in his wider global agenda, especially when it comes to China. He is alienating allies. He is, in fact, pushing them into the arms of China, as we have seen over the weekend with the Canadian visit to China and trade agreements between Canada and China. And there is, of course, a sense among Europeans that if we cannot rely on the United States, if we cannot rely on President Trump as a trustworthy ally, then we need to reconsider our partnerships across the globe. Already the EU is signing deals with Latin America countries. As you saw this past week, they are negotiating a deal with India. And there is, of course, a lot of discussion of engaging China even more. President Macron even suggested that perhaps China is invited to the next G7 summit. And there is also a summit planned between the EU and China. And if the aggressive posture that the Trump administration is currently employing becomes worse, I think the EU and generally European nations will be forced to reconsider their approach to China as well.